Hi guys, welcome to the Man United Agenda, and we will be discussing the big derby. Welcome to the Man United Agenda. Yes, it's all things Man United. Oh gosh, it was a terrible day at the office today. Painful in the end, I believe. But I'm here to have a counselling session with our man Rebel. How you doing, Rebel?
Yeah, good as I suppose I can be. There's a lot to talk about from start to finish. I'm, as you can see from my name, Rebel the Angry today.
Oh gosh. And all the way from the United States of Americas, it's Yank talking smack. Connor, how you doing, man? How you feeling after all that?
I woke up on a Sunday for this. I woke up at 8 o'clock on a Sunday for this.
It's a disappointment then.
I could have slept. I could have slept and had the same amount of disappointment.
What time have you got over there?
It's almost 11 a.m.
Okay. Well, it's getting on late. It's like 6:45 now. And we just witnessed something horrible. It wasn't nice at all. But let's start at the beginning, where it all started. There's a big build-up. We've had a week to prepare for this game. And obviously, we're playing against the elite. This is the top side. They're the champions. They've been dominating for the last decade or so. But we went in there with expectation. I was calling a 1-0. I thought we could win. I know a couple of you guys actually thought we could get a good result today. So just start with the team selection, guys. We've got this team selection up here. Let's just read out quickly. We've got De Gea in goal. Wan-Bissaka, Varane, Maguire, Shaw, Pogba, Fred.
That's wrong. That's Solo's prediction.
Sorry, that was the, yeah. So let me read out the team selection. It was De Gea in goal. Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Harry Maguire, and Telles in left back. We had Fred and McTominay with Bruno. Fred and McTominay with Pogba, Bruno, Sancho, and Langa wide men. And we that was the team selection. Can we just talk quickly about the shape, especially in the first half? What did you guys see? I'm going to start with you, Connor. That was the lineup. What did you guys see about the shape and how we set up? And do you think that was the best team we could have put up?
No, that was not the best team we could. I mean, obviously, with the people that were out, Cavani had a tummy ache and decided that he didn't want to play today. So there was that, and then we had all the other injuries. So, I mean, I think there could have been one or two changes that might have made that team better. But overall, we didn't have much choice on who played there. And the shape was all right. Just players didn't seem to know how much they wanted to put in effort-wise.
And do you think, Rebel, going over to you, this is the shape of the team? It wasn't the usual 4-2-3-1 or the 4-3-3, was it? What did you see about the shape of the team and with the lineup?
Yeah, well, obviously we were missing Varane and Shaw, which we found out afterwards was due to COVID-19 positive tests, unfortunately. And I suppose something that we've been talking about here on the channel so much is when certain players in key positions are missing, what does that mean for us? Now, it looked initially that we were probably going to be playing Bruno on a false 9, which we assumed based on the lineup. But as the game developed, it looked like it was a standard 4-4-2. At least that's what it looked like to me, with Pogba and Bruno as the strikers. Now, the real interesting one for me, where actually, and it's going to welcome Blue Moon in, who's got very happy with his result, into the chat just before we continue. But the one that I thought was most significant, because obviously the lack of options as in the striking corps for us when Ronaldo was declared out was that something had to be played out place. Dalot seems to have fallen behind Wan-Bissaka in the last couple of games in the pecking order. And my initial reaction to that was, will that stifle Sancho's ability? Because he will not overlap and he will not perform in the offensive way into the same effect that Dalot would. And I think we did notice a few times where Sancho was left kind of isolated during the game, but that's something to be kind of delved into later. But In terms of the people that were on the bench, there was probably a case for Rashford to be starting, given there was no Ronaldo and no Cavani.
Yeah.
Other than that, obviously no Varane. We kind of made the centre-back partnership kind of pick itself, unless you're going to put Eric Bailly in instead of Lindelof,
Oh God, no.
which obviously isn't the most palpable of selections. And the only other people then was, I suppose, Lingard could have maybe been brought in to do a job instead of Alanga. But again, I think Alanga, based on how he's played so far, probably deserved on merit to be named in the starting lineup. And
I
then
agree.
the only other person of note that I thought on the bench was Hannibal. We obviously saw him named in our squad for the was it the first time in a couple of months that he's actually made it to the first team squad. But like, on balance, with the players that were missing, that was what we were left with. The Dalot Wan-Bissaka one was probably the biggest bone of contention.
Okay, good analysis. They covered everything. I think going just quickly on the Wan-Bissaka thing. I think Wan-Bissaka done pretty well. He stood up, didn't go to ground too often, which we were worried about.
He had the most embarrassing play of the game for me. He jogged over to a ball and then I don't remember what minute it was, but he jogged over to the ball and then got absolutely bodied by Foden. Foden, of all people, hit to the ground, and Foden just took off right outside our 18-yard box. That's for me where I saw that we weren't playing anymore to try and do anything. When he kind of jogged over and lost it.
I think he started off pretty well in the first half. I think going forward, he was getting forward, but he's obviously lack of quality in the final third that seemed to be an issue, which Rebel was saying. That's compared to Dalot, that's his downfall. Do you want to say hi to Ian? You can unmute yourself, Ian. You've just been at the game, haven't you, Ian? So
yes,
can you just
literally,
give us?
I'm across the road. A mate of mine bought an apartment, and my brother and I turned one down all of about 10 years ago, and now worth about 10 times as much. So I'm in his spare room.
So you obviously joined us on the preview show, and you seem quite confident. So the game over now. You've obviously got the 3 points in your title challenge. Just going to the start before the game. What are your feelings before the game when you saw the way United set up and the way you set up?
Yeah, I think going back to how we talked about the game, and I exchanged some messages with Solo before the game, and I was actually there was a debate about whether we played Grealish or Sterling, and I wanted to play Grealish. So actually the team I picked for once was exactly as Pep then went on and picked the team. No surprises from Pep, playing it absolutely safe. I thought it was great. Always knowing that Gundogan could come on and save whoever's legs were the most knackered later on. But yeah, I wanted to ask, because I'm conscious it's your guys' show. I'm not going to just lord it up. Amanda, you and I were talking about the Ralph's tactics, and we said that he'd inherited a pretty desperate situation, and it would take weeks or months to rectify this. Now, I felt in that first half, you could see exactly what he was trying to do with a pressing game. Yeah, you could see it. It could have gone either way in that first half. There was lots of toe-to-toe, good old derby, loads of pressing action. But almost at about 50 minutes, United fell apart. Now, the question I have for you guys is, was it lack of fitness that the legs went? Because you could see the City legs would go. Was it the players just didn't have the ability? Or was it character and togetherness? Because we also said that City, Pep had chosen psychologically to instead of get the players back on the training ground, had actually taken them all out as a team dinner to the Ivy on Thursday night, which some might not view as the best prep in the world, but they were together as a team. So I think the question for the United agenda really is, so clearly the tactics and the strategy are there. The team can't deliver it. Is that quality, fitness, or character? And one last one for you guys. When I see a player like Gundogan at 31, 32 years old, just a wonderful player, De Bruyne into his 30s, and Mahrez was awesome today, tracking back. And I look at that incredibly gifted player, Juan Mata, who's about the same age as those three characters and built just like Gundogan. Why hasn't Juan Mata develop like Gundogan and play.
Gundogan's a mite smaller than Gundogan's a little bit bigger than Mata. Mata's kind of a small and kind of scrawny type of player. He's not, I think, got the same build as Gundogan, but I think it's just differences in style of play. I think it's also differences in how they train. I think.
The other thing to mention is one Mata next month is turning 34, so he has a few years of seniority on Gundogan. Just
18 months.
Just briefly, in reference to your first question, I think we are going to pick up some of that when we get into the second half as to what we thought of those players. But I do want to highlight something that happened before tip-off. The wonderful show of solidarity from both Manchester sides in reference to the situations happening in Ukraine. I thought that both sets of supporters behaved admirably, and it was a delight to see that show solidarity before the main business of the day.
Yeah.
So I want to have a bash at this, and I want people in the comments as well, if you can answer Ian's questions. He's talking about what was it, fitness, was it the ability, or was it lack of togetherness? And I think it's the fitness. It's about the system. Overall, it's about the system, including the matter discussion you were having. I think it's about the system you play, and I think anyone can walk into this Manchester City side, and because it's a team togetherness, the cohesion works. And they've been doing it for a long time now. You could walk in there and you're not going to be under pressure. I think, what was the stat? 92 in the last 15 minutes, they had 92% of possession, that kind of thing. And that shows the fitness is not going to be an issue there. It would happen to any team regarding fitness. People cannot keep up those levels against a team so technically good like Man City. The ability, I think, that just going back, so that was the fitness. I don't think the fitness is down to the system. We were up against, they had the ball more than us, and we kind of collapsed. Because we couldn't. It's hard to keep up that sort of pressure. The ability-wise, I think we do have the ability, but once again, it always reverts back to the system. We don't have the system in place, and we saw that with Man City today. And the togetherness, I think we're healing. Like Ralph's like a maintenance guy; he's trying to repair everything at the moment. So to get to togetherness and the spirit of the harmony within the side, I think that's to come. We don't quite have that as yet, and that will come. And we've seen all three issues. And I'm sorry, going back last 2 points. Sorry, Rebel. Let me just cover the Mata and Matic. I think they're great players. I do agree with you, and I think they could fit in if we had a better system. They could slot in easily, and they wouldn't have to do so much running. If we kept the ball, we could control games as Ralph wants us to. Sorry, Rebel.
I was going to say, I'm going to have to declare a point of order and you jumping the show schedule. As you'd often to say to me, you'd arraign me for putting the cart before the horse. But I suppose... look, we weren't going to break down the 3 goals, but maybe now that you have opened the can of worms, I think I'd like to put in my spokes into the overarching situation. Look, there's no doubt that City outperformed us in the second half. As Ian rightly pointed out, you could see semblances of what he was trying to do in the first half, and the success of that was, I think, Ian would even agree with this, in the reward that was the Sancho goal. That bit of play was a nice bit of quality that got us the result that we desired from what we were trying to achieve. But in the second half, I cannot be as kind to Manchester United as you were. I think at one stage in a 15-minute period, we're down to something like 9% of possession. And for me, they probably waved the white flag. And you got to question the mentality of some of the players as to whether their heart and soul is in the badge of Manchester United. And when it's coming to some of them, at this point, I'm thinking, no, it's not. I was very disappointed with us going down dark alleyways, the levels of support and hunger. Pogba came off after being pretty much anonymous for the entirety of the game. I think he might have had 1 or 2 plays in the first half, but largely he was nowhere to be seen. Rashford, again, we saw 1 or 2 glimpses. I don't know what's going on with him at the moment, but there's clearly something not registering, and it's starting to show in his football performance. Fred and McTominay. Fred, actually, I thought had a good game. He was involved in a lot of the situations that United excelled in. There was probably... You probably would have said if he shot quicker, he might have even yielded a goal in that first half. But I can't fault Fred for what he done. What overall, was it good enough for a Manchester United performance? Maybe, maybe not. But Fred had a good game. McTominay, I thought the ball didn't seem to go through my whole pile. He had one kind of a frothy exchange with a City player on the byline. But overall, again, I cannot fault McTominay for the result that happened today. Bruno, oddly, didn't even have a shot on target today, which is highly unusual for Bruno Fernandez. You normally expect him to unleash some form of shot. The Wan-Bissaka, again, I was disappointed with him. I thought City got a lot of joy down his flank. A lot of more opportunities that City might have put away came from that side of the field. Who else is on my hit list today? No, but I think significantly, we are coming back to that situation that we outlined in January. Me and Mr. B were firmly in the camp that we needed reinforcements based on the amount of players that were exiting. And this is now coming back to haunt us. There was no striker per se, apart from those in the youth team, ready to come in to replace Ronaldo when he was declared unfit. Marcus Rashford has been a winger / inside forward for the last number of years. And the amount of opportunities he's had in that role, it would be the same as playing Garnacho, more than likely, in that role, because he doesn't play there anymore. In the centre of midfield, we ended up having Pogba and Fernandez essentially playing as strikers. And again, their impact and influence on the game seemed to be lost for me. So overall, I'm very disappointed with the Manchester United players' frame of mind in the way that they put out their stall in the pitch in the second half, because I think, for me, they gave up. And they got exactly what they deserved, nothing. And it's going to cost us in the long run.
Okay, all right. As I said, you said it clearly. They gave up. You're repeating exactly what Gary Neville was saying in the commentary. He was really putting the boot in on Man United as well. Also saying the same thing. Going to you, Connor, quickly. Do you want to just quickly talk about the first half, because we haven't covered the first half and the goals that were scored? So the first City goal. Do you want to just break that down? Any issue with that, or do you just put it down to good play?
The thing is, I really was actually going into that second half still pretty upbeat about the game, saying, this could be a win, this could be a draw. It was really still kind of anybody's game at that point going into the second half, because I honestly think the unfortunate thing that we're finding out about United once again is every single game, we're a one-half team. We play really, really well one half. Whether that's the first or second half is really the only thing that changes, no matter who the squad is, no matter who the opponent is. We play one half well, we play one half shite, and it costs us in the end 90% of the time. The first goal by City, I couldn't fault it. I hated it. It made me sick to my stomach watching it going in. But there's nothing you can really do and go, we could have done this better. I do think, there is the shout at Maguire for letting it go through his legs. Tellez was guarding absolutely nobody. Fred could have easily blocked the cross off. Multiple spots you could see United players could have done better. Second goal. Has anybody in that United team ever heard of the phrase, when in doubt, kick it out? Because for fuck's sake, it bobbled between 3 or 4 players, and every single one of them could have had a whack at it and just hit it out for a corner for all I care. Just don't bobble it around the 6-yard box, hoping that the next person that it goes to does something with it. Because it's exactly what happened. We bobbled it around waiting for somebody to kick it out, and nobody did. And they scored. I loved our goal. Our goal was what I dream about when I want to see United score. A lot of one-touch passing, get our head up, counterattack, very good long ball to Sancho. And then one City player, I don't know who, overran it. Sancho just took a step inside. No one really closed him down fully, and he just said, all right, I'll have a crack. And I think one positive, if I have one positive to take away from this game, is Sancho is growing more and more into this league. He's showing more and more that he is definitely worth what we bought him for. And City were fools to let him leave their academy. And there's one positive I can take away. It's that. But it's just terrible. Second half, just terrible.
I want to go over to City fan Ian. Just talk about the goals. Do you see any errors, or do you just think it's beautiful football? All 3 first half goals, quickly.
Yeah, I also agree that United move was sweeping and glorious. But particularly wanted to pick up on something Rebel said. There's a couple of United players one who I think really struggles for fitness, and that's Pogba. To answer that very earlier question, I just don't think he's got the fitness levels to track back. I don't know, maybe he hasn't got the desire. And the other player I want to pick out is Bruno Fernandez. And I watched him because I went to the Leeds game and I watched that in the mud as well. And every opponent set of fans has a real issue with Bruno Fernandez. And you've got to ask yourself, well, why is that? That's because very simply, when he loses possession, he blames the world. He pretends he's been fouled and he doesn't track back time and time again. Now, that has two effects. One in the first instance, and the second on the camaraderie and the team ethos. When you've got a player who, he's almost so arrogant that it isn't my fault I lost the ball. Just humble up, man. Track back if you've lost the ball. And that's the one thing Pep instills into that team. Foden misplaces passes, De Bruyne misplaces passes. But what they do is they don't whinge on. They race back like terriers if they've lost the ball. And I felt more than any other player at United, Fernandes is so guilty of that. I'm not saying he's not a gifted player, because he is. He's just got a shit attitude. And Pogba he's just not fit enough at the moment. He just doesn't have either have the legs or the desire to track back. And with those two in the team, as soon as the second half came on the second half, they were liabilities.
I remember watching a City had a corner. I can't remember when. It was sometime late. I think it was like around the 75th minute. And corner got cleared. Rashford had the ball on the left side. And then all of a sudden, I just saw 8 City players just there. I'm going, where the fuck did everybody come from?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I thought we were going to have at least I thought it was going to be at least, okay, we had 2 players going forward. I thought, okay, maybe 2-on-3, 2-on-4. We're still a disadvantage. They have more defenders back than us. I'm looking up, and all of a sudden, I'm like, where the fuck did 8 players come from? Weren't they all just in the box?
Mahrez and De Bruyne are in their early 30s, and they were there. They were at the main instance of that. Mahrez is built just like Fernandes. They're the same build. He's older, but the guy just sprints back like a man possessed if he loses the ball.
Can I play devil's advocate?
Rebel. Yeah, go on.
Can I play devil's advocate for a moment? This is kind of a counter swing on what Ian's saying. Now, this is not necessarily my view. I just want to play out the scenario. Take out Kevin De Bruyne from the Manchester City lineup. Insert Bruno Fernandes. Is the situation that Bruno is, because he's losing the ball a lot, is it because of the movement of our players? If he was sitting in Manchester City's team, because we know what his capability in his passing is, would he actually be losing the ball to the same high percentage? Is it because of our style of play that Bruno is being chalked up to all these missed plays?
Perhaps.
Yes.
But there isn't, again, it's about the humility. Kevin De Bruyne particularly plays absolutely on the edge, of timing the ball. So there's always a high risk that he will lose the ball in the play that goes forward. And it's not about that. It's about the desire to win the ball back. Pep Guardiola in the week came out and said, the one thing that is destroying players' ability at the moment is they're too obsessed with statistics. And I'm going to big up Raheem Sterling for this. Raheem Sterling, no matter how much the world has criticised him, whether it's England fans have got on his back, the guy still never gives up on taking on his man. He's not afraid to lose possession. He's not afraid to get it wrong. Now, statistically, you could probably look at statistics and there'll be dozens of players better than Raheem Sterling. I know he wasn't on today, but I'm using him as an example because the world often gets on his back, who would statistically say they are better than Raheem Sterling. But the difference is Sterling, Foden, De Bruyne, they throw caution to the wind to win the game. Now, that isn't because they want to rely on their stats after the game. And I think that's a really big deal.
Okay. So the goals, are we saying here, if we really analyse the goals in the first half that Man United conceded, are we going to point out any errors? Are we going to break it down and say they didn't do enough? I know on TV they were saying Harry Maguire just stood there for one of the goals and didn't get back when he could have stopped De Bruyne scoring. Or are we just going to say they were all beautiful goals and good football goals?
Hell no.
Guys.
I'd like to say with the first goal, I thought obviously Tellez came late to try and make an interception on the Kevin De Bruyne shot. That's one thing. So was Tellez in the right position is the one question that we'd have at the end of that passage of play. But also I thought Harry Maguire was pretty much isolated an island. And I'd like to know what was his role. Now, Yank would arbitrated to me that he was due to cover the post, and if that is the case, if he was due to track back, that's grand. But he seemed to be stuck like the Statue of Liberty in one position when that ball came through, and it went through his legs like it was open for business. The second point that I thought in the second goal, the situation with the parried shot from Foden, which incidentally actually won me a tenner. So thanks very much, Phil Foden. I thought, what again were the Manchester United defence thinking? Because they did not play the dirty ball, the scrambled ball. They did not seem to be conscious that this ball needed to exit our box. And again, their reaction speed for me was off.
Okay.
Look, the first goal,
anyone want to
the first
add
goal
to
is
that?
the only goal that the first goal and maybe goal 3 or 4 only goals that I could really say were good goals. At least 2 of them were just goals that should have been dealt with in the first place. First goal, like I said, I had no problem with that one. The Mahrez goal, I actually couldn't be too fluffed about that.
Great.
You know, it is kind of on Maguire. Maguire's deflection put it in the bottom corner when it would have been pretty much down to his right for De Gea if it wasn't deflected. But my problem with going after players for deflection goals like that is, what do you want him to do? Not go for it? If he deflects that even harder and it goes wide, we're saying, okay, Maguire, thank you, good deflection. But unfortunately, he deflects it perfectly into that bottom corner. So for me, those are the 2 goals. I'm just, good goals. You could tell that City has something that United does not. When they have a corner, City has a tactic behind every single corner. They have a strategy with how they're going to play it, who they're going to, and also you could tell with Mahrez' shot that when he scored his curler, he literally called off Rodri. He said Rodri off, and Rodri immediately threw his hands up, backed away, and let Mahrez get the ball clean, and he was able to strike it for a goal. So those little differences kind of just show exactly why United is battling for 4th while City is trying to run away with the title here.
Okay, guys, do you want to say, everyone in the comments, please, while you're there, press the like button and big us up if you don't mind, please. Thank you very much. Ian, I'm going to start with you because we're talking about the second half. What do you think was said by Pep at half-time? Because a lot of people were saying that Man United were in the game. And what made the difference for you for Man United for the second half? Was it City, did they turn up at level 2, level 3, level 4? Is that really top draw football that you've seen there with the possession stats and the way he dominated the game? What was the major difference for you? Because I know you mentioned earlier about Man United, maybe you said about fitness, ability, and togetherness. But those are the factors that you think you turned up a level?
I think Pep, he seems to be a super passionate but quite simplistic guy in his half-time talks. I think he would have congratulated them, said, keep on doing what you're doing, just keep pressing harder. I'm being really honest with you guys. I thought City lifted their game a little bit, but I felt United fell away. And again, I will pick out those 2 players, in particular in the middle of the park, not tracking back. I thought United just fell away in that second half. The energy seemed to go, the desire seemed to go, the tracking back seemed to go. So I'm not certain that Pep said a right lot, apart from well done, guys. Keep on doing what you're doing. Step it up a bit. I just think the general attitude on the pitch when you watch between the 2 players, and we were saying there earlier when Mahrez said, leave it, and Rodri instantly did that. It's trust amongst each other's, trust amongst that team. And they know each other's games inside out. Rodri will have known that Mahrez is a strongly left-footed player. He was coming in from his ideal flank. No decision to be made. And that's humility as well. We talked about hubris and humility. So back to the question, I'm not certain that Pep would have said anything other than, you're doing fantastic, guys. Just keep this energy high. And I think that's it. I think United were, to an extent, their own undoing. But back to right at the beginning of the show, I can see what Ralph is trying to do. He's trying to, if the United team had sustained every bit of energy and tracking that they did in the first half, it would have been a battle to the end. But they just didn't. They didn't. So it's back to the question, is that fitness, ability, or attitude?
Attitude.
Yeah,
I think so, because I'm not certain that
Fernandez
and Podgrin in particular. I saw that McTominay comment to João Cancelo as well. And, you know, that's not the sort of comment of a happy player.
Let me see if I can find the comment. There was a comment that I saw that kind of perfectly kind of summed it up, and it was like...
While you're doing that, Connor, I just want to go on as well. So, obviously, we're 2-1 down at half-time, and you're saying that, well, Ian's saying Pogba wasn't fit enough and we couldn't keep it up, and Man City started to take over. But we made some subs at 63 minutes. We made a couple of subs. What do you think we were trying to achieve at this point? We took off Pogba, we brought on Elanga, and we brought on took off Pogba and took off Elanga and brought on Rashford and Lingard. And Rashford seemed to sort of started off up top and then he ended up on the right-hand side maybe. What do you think we were trying to achieve? And do you think it changed anything for us? It certainly didn't seem like that. Rebel.
Sorry, I was muted there and I didn't realise it.
Right.
But my initial thought was that with the Pogba situation, he was looking to change up the way that the midfield was playing out, because obviously Pogba was appearing to be named as a striker, so he brought on Rashford in the hope that having a more natural forward player in there might give more pause for consideration from the City defence. The question is, though, whether or not that actually translated, and as we saw from the result, no, it didn't. The other substitution then was Elanga came off for, who was it again?
Lingard.
And I'll be honest with you, I can't remember Lingard touching the ball. So clearly, the thought process there was give a different threat to City, maybe see that we might get a bit of a chink in the armour and get ourselves back in the game from it. And again, unfortunately, Lingard did not hit the notes that were needed, partly because of City's game plan and the way that they played, and partly because the players around him just were not singing on the same note.
Okay. Ian, do you want to add to that? Because obviously we've made change. You only made one sub in like 180 minutes against us.
Yeah.
So obviously the system's working, but we made changes. It didn't seem to have any effect. Any advice for Man United?
Oh, it's back to the questions again, really. They were very similar substitutions in a very similar time than Ralph brought them on at Leeds, I think almost to the minute. And they were very, very effective against Leeds. They finished the game off, but Leeds were knackered by then. The pitch had drained everyone. So when Rashford and Lingard came on, I thought, yeah, if I was the manager of Man United, they're the two players I would have brought on, and the two players to take off. Yep, I'd have done that. One because his legs had gone, and the other because he's an inexperienced lad who tried really bloody hard all game. So I don't think there was anything wrong with Ralph's tactics at that moment in time. The question is, what's up with him? Lingard, he doesn't seem to want to be there. His contract's out in the summer. I think his heart lies somewhere else. He'd have been happy if he'd gone away in January. But you've got to say, well, why is that? He was once an England player. He was once the bright young thing. Don't know what's happened. Rashford, again, I don't know what on earth has happened to him. Again, I thought he was the great hope for England, United, the world. And I remember when he ran through on goal at that time, and it was almost like, I don't know what to do anymore. I don't know what to do. My confidence is not there. So I'd say the right substitutions, but I'm not sure what's happening at United to two players who used to have the world at their feet, like Lingard and Rashford. I don't really understand.
Based on that, and I think the majority of people in the comments agree, and maybe majority of us on the panel agree with what you're saying there about we're talking about top four. We got different goals, and I think Man City are obviously going for the title. It's a two-horse race, and Man United are going for the top four. And at the moment, Arsenal have just gone above us. And judging by today's performance, I mean, can we lift it again? Can we, with the crazy games we've got coming up this month? Do you think, guys, this has dented our top four challenge? Can we still make it?
I don't think so.
If you
and
don't
that's
mind.
not as just talking as a City fan. I think Arteta has been building that Arsenal team that all fit. They've got this collective attitude like City have. I think it's going to be really difficult for United to stop that Arsenal momentum for that. And, as one of you guys said earlier in the show, this has happened not just once, twice, 3, 4 times, where all the energy is drained out of United in the second half. And that isn't what is needed to gain that 4th place.
I want to just go to Connor. Connor, you got a quote for us, please?
Yeah, the quote was, "This is a team that was built, and after 2 or 3 years is no success, and now you have a team full of players on either the last year or the second to last year of their contract, and they're all looking towards the next team they're going to be playing for. They're not looking at United."
Okay.
Agreed. Well said. Yeah, I agree with that.
Rebel, top 4.
Absolutely not. I will give one positive. I do appreciate what Ralph Rangnick is trying to do, and I think he is slowly cutting away the layers of problems that are at Manchester United. Unfortunately for us, the speed that he's able to get those problems sorted is not going to be quick enough for us this year. For me, Arsenal are there to be got at this season because they, like us, are teams that are slowly growing into where they're trying to get to. You're seeing the emergence of the likes of Saka, Martinelli, ESR, and a few more over at Arsenal. And again, they could be vulnerable towards the end of the season because they are young players and it is a lot of weight to carry on their shoulders. However, Manchester United are not in a healthy position at the moment. There are many, many problems. I think I counted 11 to 12 players from the current squad, first team squad, that may not be part of our team next season due to a variety of retirements, contracts expiring, arbitrating for a move due to being underutilized by current managements and previous managements, etc. So we are in a very vulnerable place as a club. And we've been in a very vulnerable place as a club since the day that Ed Woodward and David Moyes succeeded Gill and Ferguson. We should, based on what we've spent, be in a more advanced stage of our development. Yes, there are peaks and troughs in every club, but United have largely been in the trough and remain in the trough coming towards the end of this season. What we need now is we need to actually look to our youth academy, identify the 1 or 2 players that realistically could play at a first team level next season and expose them to games. Because the reality of the situation is we will not be top 4 come the end of the season. And that's a gut-wrenching thing to say as a Manchester United fan.
Interesting that. Connor, do you reckon we get top 4?
No.
Oh, God. Who's going to win a title? Do you think that's title winning form there today? Ian, in a word, do you reckon you can beat Liverpool for the title?
I hope so. But, I mean, Liverpool are ferocious. If you thought their forward line was good, it's just got better. Diaz is a great sign. City will have to win every game to win that title because I can't see Liverpool having another defeat. I'm going to be honest. I'm not saying the City can't do that, but it's going to be sweaty right till the very last game. And, there's a few, tricks in the tail for City still to navigate in their course. And so I think they can do it, but it's going to be the hardest title ever.
Well, the thing is, I think we've seen today the level that we need to get to, and we're still miles off it. I think he was well drilled, and I hate to say it, but Pep's a good manager. You've got the right sort of players, you've got that cohesion, and you're playing really well. I think that's what we need. All the things that we're missing. What you pointed out earlier was brilliant about the togetherness. I think that the harmony that's really missing from our squad. So we're going to wind up now. I just want to say hi to Fear from Black, hi to Matter United. It's all been like no one's going crazy out here, but we all agree there's question marks about top 4. GMS LTD, how you doing, man? What happens if we don't get top 4? Yep.
Just a quick quote from Peter Schmeichel, a player that has played for both sides of Manchester United. He said, "Today's game was a good reflection of where things are. The difference in quality and willingness to do what is needed was evident. City were majestic, but they haven't had to work that hard for what I think that will hurt Manchester United most. So they done it in cruise control," is Peter Schmeichel's view.
Yeah. Just want to say hi as well to Noah. He said he wants the season to end right now because he can't take much more of this. And half time saying not a chance we're going to get top 4. But we've got an Arsenal fan, Luca. How you doing? He said we will get top 4. Arsenal won't get it, and he supports Arsenal.
Really?
So, Spurs get it. If Spurs get it over the 2 of us, I'm going to cry.
On Monday, he's got his tongue firmly placed in his cheek with that comment, I think.
Yeah, I think Arsenal have got good momentum. And the one interesting factor that you might want to discuss on another show, whatever, is what will happen at Chelsea, because that could be in the close season there. You know, I think Tuchel's got too much steel and too much ability in his squad to let them fall out the top four this season. But they have their two best centre backs out of contract and their captain. They've got Silva coming to the end of days, really, there. And in the present circumstances of that club and the uncertainty, yeah, I think Chelsea will find it will have a hard summer.
And I think, as well, they thought that they were going to advance when they got Lukaku. And he's pretty much reverted to the Lukaku that played for us.
He's awful.
Wow.
Actually, how many points have Chelsea got? Just out of curiosity, now that you mentioned them. They're currently sitting on 53 points. Arsenal a game behind them at 48. So realistically, Chelsea could fall into the mess at the end of the season. Whether they have enough to get through it is another question. But yeah, maybe they might prioritise Champions League again. And if that is the case, who knows what could happen. But I think we're in a much bigger self-inflicted mess. And relying on Chelsea falling is just not a positive outlook to have.
Well, we're going to wind up now. I think we got a healing process all this week. Get back to the training ground and work on where we went wrong. And if it's an attitude issue, then someone needs slapping up as well. I don't know the best way to get it out of these players who are not really trying hard, as you guys are saying. We've got Tottenham next week, and that's another big game. We beat them 3-0 at the Lane, and we got them at home this time around. And then after that, that will be Saturday at 4:30 p.m. So it's going to be a live game, or 5:30 p.m. And then we got Atletico Madrid round 2, and we're taking them home after we got a good result in the Champions League. So there's still a lot to play for United. Obviously, we're disappointed with the result today. Ian, I want to say thank you for coming on and not mocking us too much. Really respectful. I mean, I know we talk about City. I just want to say now, you've got a wonderful side there, and whoever wins the league is going to fully deserve it, because 2's top sides we've played this season, and they've given us proper licks. So good luck.
Cheers. This is a football show, not a banter show, so I'll leave the banter to the other channel.
Thank you. Do you want to say any last words, Connor and Rebel, before we go, about the performance and going forward?
Yeah.
Connor, you go first.
Look, during Ole's reign, there was a ton of debate whether the problem was the players or the manager. Every game it was who was in the wrong when we lost. Players. I think now, especially I think it's a general consensus that Ralph has been a very good manager for us, and I'm happy. I think a lot of us are happy that he came in, because I think that everything he's done has been correct. I think this just shows it really is the players, and about 6 or 7 of them need to be. I'm not even talking about the ones that are on expiring contracts. 6 or 7 of them need to be sold come the summer. We need a complete overhaul, because it's absolutely on the players.
Thank you. Rebel, last words from you?
Yeah, I'm going to reference a game that happened last week again, the Under-19s Champions League game, when they lost to Dortmund on penalties. The feeling from the way that game unfolded was what Rangnick is trying to achieve was basically shown in that performance by the Manchester United Under-19 squad, and that the drivers and the work rate that's required was with them in that game. However, I do feel that the current crop of Manchester United players, we all moaned about Ole's tactics. I think there was a portion of blame with Ole. I do still feel that he wasn't tactically sound enough to carry us forward. However, there is now an overarching problem with the squad of players that are currently there, a number of which, possibly a third of which, won't actually be part of next season's squad, which does leave a large volume of recruiting work to be done between promotions from youth academy and outside purchases. But the biggest issue, and this is my bugbear, the Woodward, Murtaugh, Fletcher situation in the upper echelons of the board, the decision-making brains trust for Manchester United have been deficient in their duties. One of them is now thankfully gone and been shipped off, and that is Ed Woodward. However, we still have the overarching problem that, first of all, Ranić doesn't know what Fletcher brings to the upper management decision-making process, because he asked what Fletcher's role was in a press conference because he didn't know. And the second one is Murtagh has again been highlighted in recent articles by The Athletic as being more predisposed to commercial-based decisions. And if he is of that ethos, we will have Woodward 2.0 on our hands. So what we need is Ranić to sweep the board up there, and a manager that Ranić can work with to come in and continue the good work in clearing out the problems we have in the first team.
Brilliant. My final words are, we lost heavily today, and I'm really disappointed. I think the first half was promising, though. I thought we tried our best to contain them as we could. The goals were very good goals. I'm not going to be picking out. I have to go back and look. There are errors, because when you do give the ball away, there's going to be some sort of error at play. But I was really happy with the first half, even though we went 2-1 down. I loved that goal. Got me off my seat. The goal that we scored, I was really excited about that. And I thought the two guys, Pogba and Bruno, played all right with the ball in the first half. Obviously, as Ian said, we sort of let it go. Just hopefully now, I think we have to work with what we got, the players that we got, and hopefully Ralph can get something out of them with the games that we have going left. Because otherwise, we might as well just pack up and leave right now. I think we can still get top 4. I think we just got to go out there, and obviously we have to rely on our results now. But this is the Premiership, a top league, and we've seen the massive gap between us and where we want to be to achieve major trophies like the Can
I just put one last thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Me as well.
I've just checked trending on Twitter. The number one trending thing right now is embarrassing, and for Manchester United. Under Manchester United, the thing that's trending right now is embarrassing.
Can I just have one brief last point? Bat Time made an interesting comment, and he's saying that Fletcher has more experience than Ralph at top-level football coaching the last 10 years. No, if Fletcher's role was defined as being part of the first team coaching setup, and that he was totally and utterly responsible for coaching that first team, I'd say grand. But his role in the tree of structure is that he is supposed to be working to the director of football. It does not mention coaching capacity, and therein lies the problem in our decision-making process. If he's going to be utilised where he's most knowledgeable, bring him down to the coaching team and let him be judged as a coach.
Okay, it's a good show. Akil in the house as well. And I just want to say thanks to everyone who's chipped in with comments today. Really good comments. We looked at them all. Just want to say again, whilst everyone stop what you're doing, we've only got 23 likes. Let's get to 30 now. So if you haven't pressed the like button, press it now. I'm waiting. Okay.
5.
Let's get up. And you can catch me tonight 9 o'clock doing a boxing roundup show on FTB Sports. And tomorrow night we're back again on the Man United agenda. We're going to be doing maybe a review of the whole weekend, and we've got Jay Motti coming on as well. That'll be at 8 o'clock, 8:30 tomorrow night. Make sure you tune in for that. But for now, guys, thanks for all the comments. Thanks, Ian, again for coming on for the.
Cheers, OMONDI. Cheers, fellas.
Good luck for the rest of the season. Thanks, Connor, all the way from the United States of America.
Cheers.
And all the way from Ireland. International show. Thank you, Rebel, again. So,
thanks,
God bless
Monday.
guys. See you
Bye,
later.
fellas. Cheers.